can't see me, you can't hear me, good. So I'm going to do a brief recap on last month's session of shaping culture, and then go into a couple stories, just of request foods and what shapes our culture. So we're going to go over conflict, listening, vulnerability, and then overall how that shapes culture. So conflict, who here loves conflict? Right? Nobody loves conflict, but we all have to deal with it, and we all get to choose how we deal with it. So we have a saying in HR that it's, if you gotta eat a frog, best not to look at it too long, okay? So what that really means is the longer you wait, the more that anxiety is gonna build, right? Also, the longer you wait, the more the problem is gonna grow. So I actually just had a situation this week where we had a manager that failed to address an employee issue for months. And because they failed to address the issue for months, that problem grew and grew, and now we are potentially going to lose one or two really good employees because they're threatening to leave because this employee has not been addressed. So hopefully by addressing it now, we have solved the problem, but don't wait. So how do we address conflict? Okay, effective listening. Okay, always first seek to understand, then to be understood. Okay, when you're listening, make sure that you're not showing signs of disapproval. Okay, that your facial expression, your body language isn't showing, well, I don't agree with what you had to say. And only after you fully understand what they're saying and you maybe express back, hey, so this is what you're telling me, okay, then say your point and seek to be understood. Okay. It might not even be appropriate for you to seek to be understood immediately. It might make sense for you to take some time and actually show that you process what they shared with you. Okay, but always make sure that you follow up and follow through. So vulnerability, this is something that's difficult for me. I think it's difficult for a lot of us, right, to show vulnerability, especially in the workplace. Kind of taught that, hey, you gotta be tough and maybe not show mistakes, but the reality is what we learned from the video last week is vulnerability really speeds the curve in which we can connect with each other and build trust with each other. We can be vulnerable at work, we can create a comfortable environment where we feel like we can be ourselves and we can be human in all those mistakes. It doesn't mean necessarily oversharing, okay? So it doesn't mean just spewing out, hey, all this information about me, but when it's relevant to connect with others, use it, whether it's personal vulnerability or maybe it's taking responsibility for things that happen in the workplace. So all of these things shape culture, okay? Culture is behaviors that are exhibited, celebrated, and tolerated within an organization, okay? So this is something that should be aligning with your values, okay, how you treat and speak to your employees. So if you're at a workplace where everyone is swearing at each other, they're cussing each other out, bringing them down, or are you at a workplace where everyone is kind to each other, right? This all affects employee culture, which ultimately affects employee engagement, retention, productivity, and overall business success. And I do love this quote. I know I took this, I think, from you guys, but culture isn't just one aspect of the game, it is the game. I love that. So, and I just have a couple stories. I told Adrian I had a really fun one for today, but I'm not gonna share it because I don't feel like it's as relevant. But this picture here, I chose this because we actually just had a couple situations at work where we had high-low drivers get into accidents. Okay, so we had employee one, I'm gonna say, and employee two. Okay, employee one got into 2 high-low accidents within a month. Employee two got into 2 high-low accidents within a month. When I say high-low accidents, this is company property, okay? They're hitting people. But they received different results. Can anyone tell me why that might be?
Did they have the same bosses, same managers?
No, they did have different managers. Yeah, that could be part of it. Yeah.
Was it a cost of
Potentially. So I mean, these are all really good thoughts, and I guess what I'm getting at here is no two instances are the same, right? So employee one was removed from his position, and that's because employee one had been in that position for less than a year. Okay, employee 2 had been in that position for 8 years. So really no two situations are the same. So although employee 1 was removed from his position, employee 2 was put on a last chance agreement, and that's to show a year's worth of good driving history to get off the probationary period. So another situation, so where I work, Request Foods has a policy of if you show up to work under influence of drugs or alcohol, or in possession of drugs or alcohol, then you're terminated, okay? First offense. We had an employee show up to work, he starts at 3:30 in the morning, okay? It's really early. Someone smells alcohol on his breath, they bring him up front, blows .06, okay? Smells alcohol in the system, breaking our policy, we could let him go. But this employee is a long-term employee, great performance history, everybody loves him. So what we do is we put them on a last chance agreement, right? Rehab agreement where they have to be subject to random breathalyzers as well as seat counseling, okay? And because of that, we actually retain that employee and they're still a great employee today, okay? Scenario number 2, we had an employee, this happened a few months ago, the second shifter, first month on the job, shows up to work, collapsed in their seat. We don't know if they're having a seizure, what's going on. They were just so drunk, they couldn't even stay seated in their seat when they showed up to work, right? This employee's been there less than a month. We're not gonna retain them, right? We're gonna let them go. So 2 similar scenarios, breaking the same rules, different results, but that just kind of speaks for our culture and what shapes it. That's all I got.
Thank you.